Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with another Doom WAD review. This WAD is called Hell Complex by Jthom. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's spelled Jthom. Now he released this map this year actually, this month, January 2018, so real recent one. Now the Readme file for this WAD simply states, quote, a single Doom 2 level. You explore a large, intricate facility riddled with demons. End quote. And that's it. Yeah, the description of this WAD really downplays the experience you're in for with this map. During my initial playthroughs, it really did not feel like I was exploring so much as running for my life. The author did an adequate job of building a facility-type structure, but it's very clear their intention was clearly on gameplay. Enemies are tucked behind corners, they're at awkward angles, and often they're concealed behind bars or very dim lookouts and windows. Also, there is just enough ammunition here to keep you going, but barely. Often the player has to decide whether it's worth it to take out an enemy that's in a sniping position up high, or to simply sprint past them and use ammunition towards more mobile targets that can follow the player around the map. Much of the WAD takes place in open areas. However, there are very few cramp spots here and there, and those cramp spots make it very tough to dispatch enemies. For example, there's a trap room with pinkies that ambush the player, and pinkies usually are pretty easy to dispatch, but not when there's a small group of them in a very small room. And at that point in the map, you're only armed with your pistol and shotgun, so yeah. Later in the game, the player will encounter a Hell Knight, which again isn't too bad on its own. However, at this portion of the game, you see the Hell Knight down a very narrow hallway, and because the hallway is so narrow, you can't really move and get out of the way of its incoming green fire projectiles. So really tricky. Again, very obvious that the author built the map with the idea of challenging gameplay in mind over aesthetics. Now the pace of the map is very intense. Often in other maps, the player crawls from room to room, taking out a very small smattering of enemies in between the challenge rooms. That's what I call rooms where there's traps in them, or monster closets, something like that. And then you clear the challenge, and then the pace just goes right down again. You have a handful of enemies until you get to the next quote-unquote challenge room, which will have a key or whatever. However, here in this map, tons of enemies are evenly and smartly spaced out throughout the map. In this WAD, after clearing a challenging area for an essential item like a key, it is not at all uncommon for more enemies to just suddenly appear. And after clearing those enemies, the ones that just appeared, yet another wave of demons will just come right in. After you clear that wave, you head back out, and again, there's tons of enemies scattered evenly throughout the map, so the pace really does not let up at all here. This makes remembering item locations and planning one's route throughout the map very essential. For example, early in the map, after fighting a spider demon, a mancubus, some imps, a cacodemon, actually a few cacodemons, and some shotgun soldiers, if I remember correctly, the player will encounter a teleportation portal. Now it is possible, very possible, that given the enemies that the player just encountered, the player may be low on ammunition and or armor and health. In that case, it is very advisable to very quickly sprint around the map and hopefully gather some loose supplies up before heading onto that portal. Having a passable amount of health and shotgun shells before teleporting out will make the next encounter a lot easier. Up ahead, you face a Baron of Hell, some pinkies, I think some imps too, and some concealed soldiers. Now these soldiers are concealed behind, again, a very dimly lit lookout type window space that you will not see until they start shooting at you. So having that bit of ammo and having that bit of health really makes the next section a breeze. If you go in ill prepared, you're going to have a bad time. Now there is new music to this map, and I'm actually not really a fan of it. I mean, I always like it when authors do put in new music to maps, but here the song really does not match the high tempo action of this WAD. And I also think it gets really annoying. This map is a bit longer, So you're going to be hearing this song on repeat again and again and again. It is admittedly memorable, and at first I thought it was kind of catchy, and it really sounds really familiar. Yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of it now, and if anyone knows what the song is, I'll appreciate it if you can let me know in the comments. Now this is an excellent map for one to really dig into. It is challenging, but by no means too hard. It is a type of map where one would be wise to quick save very often. In this map, being surprised often means being dead, so one should get very much used to having a quick save, having a load, and get used to dying every now and then to learn your mistakes, and through the experience you learn the map and it becomes a lot easier. Also, again, this goes back to what I said earlier about preparing. After getting the red key, you really want to prepare very carefully. At that point in the map, it's the home stretch, and the final fight will take a number of tries to finish, actually. It's a very intense fight. I actually really like it. However, again, you want to go in making sure you're well equipped. That last fight actually is really a microcosm of this map. Really, I mean, that last fight, it's tons of enemies, huge open space, and there's a route that you should take. There's a sequence of things you have to do to access the end of the map. And enemies you should probably dispatch in a certain order, and items you should probably get in a certain order. But that's not very obvious. There's no hand-holding. There's no obvious cues as to where you should go. It's basically, you're in this room, there's switches, try and find them, and oh yeah, there's tons and tons of enemies. Good luck. So, again, that last encounter, just like this map, it's non-linear in design, but not in gameplay. What I mean by that is not all routes are equal, even though they are many. All in all, Hell Complex is a really fun map, I think. That is, if one is willing to put the time into playing it and learning it. Maps like this definitely feel cathartic to master and beat, and they have a bit of replay value as well too. However, the music becomes really grating after a while, and that makes it kind of difficult for me to rate it too high. And I'll admit, while I don't like complaining of difficulty, a lot of the enemies are placed in some really cheap areas, behind textures that look like walls that aren't, for example, or really small window areas that you will not notice until you get hit by something. So, yeah. So for all those reasons, I give Hell Complex a 7 out of 10. It's pretty solid and impressive considering that they only took the author about 2.5 weeks to construct. Alright, and that is it. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTagger93 signing out. Have a good one.